In Greater Cincinnati Urban Young Life, we want to reach all types of students, no matter what obstacles get in their way. Right now, you're about to meet a student named Danielle. You're going to hear a few of the obstacles that she had to overcome and what it looked like for her Young Life leader to step into those moments. In December of 2019, we started a new outreach ministry that's a part of Young Life called Young Lives. It's our outreach to teen moms in our city. Why don't you hear a little bit about Danielle's story?
I never had a steady relationship with any of my family. I bounced around from the time I was 11 till the time I turned 17. We lived in hotels, we lived in motels, we lived in different people's houses. It was never steady. For the first time when I turned 15, I got to actually meet my dad for the first time. And I got to see him for a week, and the whole time I was there, he didn't spend time with me or anything, and then I left, and that was the last time I seen him. I always thought, growing up, I was alone. I didn't have much family. I didn't have anybody. I was real down, wouldn't do anything. When I was, going through things, I, always thought I was alone. When I met and, finally got to know Christ, I knew, he was somebody I could permanently turn to, and regardless of what I do or if I sin, that he would always be there. Right now, I work 2 jobs. I am a single parent. I go to school still. I have 1 more year, and I have my associates. I start a nurse aide job soon. With that being said, God opened new beginnings and new doors I never thought was there. With me being down all the time, I shut everything out. I didn't give anything a chance, but now I am starting to succeed, and he's helping me stay on the right path and follow him and who he is. He's my stronghold for sure. I couldn't do it without him. Being a single mom is very hard, on top of going to school and going to work. So I think he's really what pushes me through.
All right, so you guys just heard what God has done in the life of Danielle. We want you guys to see what that looks like through the eyes of a high schooler and a Young Life leader. Meet Jaden from Hughes High School.
I've lost a lot of friends in my neighborhood to gun violence. Friend, she was my little sister, she 12, turning 13 at the time. She got shot and killed literally a block up from me. I don't leave the house without telling somebody where I'm at all times. 8th grade, I think I was suspended for Hughes 14 times for fighting because I kept on getting bullied and picked on. I kept on feeling like I had to prove myself. 9th grade through 12th grade, those were my hardest years because there's so many different crowds you want to be in. I was having a really hard time figuring out who I was and why I wanted to be that person so bad instead of just being me. When I met Tyler, that's when I felt like I could actually be myself. It's crazy how he got me able to open up because like I said, I don't open up, I don't talk about nothing. I remember one night, I just opened up, and when I opened up, I felt alive again. I was in Young Life. Now I'm in it. I'm about to start teaching these kids. Same way Tyler helped change my life, I know I could change somebody else's life. New leadership training, or NLT, it's people that was in Young Life in high school as young lifers, I guess you could say. Now they're trained to be Young Life leaders. So NLT teaches you how to be a better leader and how to be a better follower of Christ. Just like my verse that I've learned, set your mind on things above, not an earthly thing. As long as I set my mind on him and that's it, I'll be all right.
I'm so thankful that you got to hear those powerful stories from Danielle and Jaden. You might be thinking to yourself, how could this ever be me? We've got all these college students and these high school students, but where do I come into the mix? I want to invite you to hear the story of Rufus and Jerry and how they got involved with our committee and what that could look like for you.
So as a 54-year-old going through life, you start to develop beliefs. And my belief system, with the most recent racial challenges that we've had in our country, I started to consider and talk to some of my friends, am I looking at this wrong? My worldview, might it be wrong? And at 54, it's hard to acknowledge that maybe I've been thinking about something wrong. And I remember talking to my 19-year-old daughter, and I said to her, we were going out to date night, and I said, you know, I'm considering maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm looking at things incorrectly. Maybe, as we've talked to some of my friends about, maybe I'm a part of the problem. Like, people that know me know that I love to eat good food, I like to drink good coffee, and I like to hang out with people. And so one of the things that we did is we said, hey, what if we got 4 to 5 young people that looked different than me, with 4 to 5 older people that might look similar to me, right? A little longer in the tooth. And what if we just had lunch and got to know each other?
What I came to realize is how important it is for people that are different to get together and get to know one another. I look at people differently now after having been with these young men and hearing their stories of how they grew up and how absolutely incredibly blessed I was and the challenges they faced. Now, when problems arise inside our society that might be racial, I am not as quick to judge as I once was, because what I know is that I don't know.
So now you've been able to see what Young Life looks like through the eyes of high school students. Now our friend Chuck Mingo is going to share where your impact will be as you support Greater Cincinnati Urban Young Life.
Now, I want you to know what you choose to do today to invest in the students of Cincinnati Urban Young Life makes a difference. I know because I know the investments that have impacted my life. And so I want to reflect on a scripture very briefly, and I want to encourage you to think about it as it relates to the students that we're talking about today. In Matthew 19, verse 13, it says, "Then children were brought to Jesus, that he might lay his hands on them and pray. The disciples rebuked the people, but Jesus said, 'Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for to such belongs the kingdom of heaven.' And he laid his hands on them, and they went away." I want to submit to you that this story is what we want to live out today. Jesus models valuing people in this story. He was in a society where kids were devalued, kids were pushed to the side. And unfortunately, in our culture and context, there are certain kids that far too often are seen as less valuable and they are pushed to the side. But I want to submit to you that Jesus is also giving us a kingdom vision here. Because what does Jesus say? Jesus says the only way to access the kingdom is to be like one of these children. He wants us to see that this is our way in, that without grace, without Jesus, we too are forced and pushed to the side. We don't have any value to God, except the value that God confers on us, that he confers on every human being as an image bearer created in his image. We heard 2 stories of kids whose lives have been changed by Young Life because there was an opportunity for them to make steps toward Jesus. Jesus was presented to them through followers of Jesus who invested in their lives. And barriers were removed because it was at their high school. They didn't have to worry about transportation because that was provided. They found ways to remove barriers so these people could experience relationship with Jesus. That Jesus is saying to you and to I, let the children come to me and do not hinder them, for such is the kingdom of heaven. Here's what I know about great leaders. Great leaders do 2 things really well. First of all, they cast a compelling vision that you want to move toward, and they clear the path. And an opportunity that you and I have in investing in these future leaders is to do just that, to make sure that every student in every high school in our city gets a compelling vision of this guy named Jesus. This guy named Jesus who can change their life. This guy named Jesus who can empower them. This guy named Jesus who came to rescue them. This guy named Jesus who doesn't judge them. This guy named Jesus who wants to experience and wants them to experience the fullness of his kingdom and to be participants in that kingdom. And we can invest in doing that and clearing a path for that to happen. Maybe for some of us, clearing that path looks like bringing dinner to campaigners and kids who are eating. Maybe it looks like providing space for teenagers. Maybe it looks like picking up kids and actually providing transportation to get them to church or to club. Maybe it looks like you actually leading, stepping in and being a leader of these kids, or building into the students who lead them. Maybe it looks like you leveraging your marketplace connections to give these kids exposure to people who are in their career interests. All of those ways and more, we get to invest in these kids. There's something for you to learn about the Jesus you serve by getting proximate to the people he cares about the most. You might be investing in the future leaders of urban Cincinnati. Can I just expand that and say that we don't know? We might be investing in the future leaders of all of Cincinnati. We might be investing in future leaders of corporations that are yet to be created. We might be investing in future pastors of churches that are yet to be planted. We might be investing in future leaders who are teachers or are going to be politicians who bring the kingdom of God to bear in all of the different spheres of influence that make a city a place where every person can experience the breadth of vision that God has for them and the height of the dreams that God created and put inside of them. So I'm asking you to join me in doing what Jesus did, choosing to get proximate, choosing to create a space where kids can come to Jesus, and clearing the path for all of the kingdom potential that God has for their lives. Thank you.
In order to continue to reach these 10 schools and to reach for the 6 high schools that we don't have a Young Life ministry in yet, our operating budget is $268,000. This operating budget enables us to serve those students and leaders and continue the mission that we have been sent from the beginning. Our goal for tonight is to raise $50,000 in new commitments. This $50,000 will enable us to do 3 major things. 1, it will enable us to accept the community invitation to start Young Life at Aiken High School. 2, these new commitments will enable us to pour resources into our leaders to create increased team health. The third opportunity that this $50,000 commitment will do is it will enable us to grow our reach of our new Young Lives ministry and to support our Young Lives students as well as mentors. The way that we're doing this year is through what we call adult support teams. Each specific ministry has a circle of support around their school that meets the immediate needs of leaders and students in order to help leaders simply spend time with students. You have immense talents, and they were given to you by God. We would hope that some of you would consider using those same talents to clear the obstacles for students and leaders by being involved on our area committee. Our area committee is not a normal committee, it's a working committee. And this committee works to clear obstacles such as media and communications, finding food for clubs, helping raise money for summer camp, and investing in leaders through spiritual resources. For all of you that chose to join us tonight, I want to say thank you. I know that you had to say no to other things in order to say yes to us tonight. If I don't know you yet, I'm looking forward to getting to know you. And from all of Greater Cincinnati Urban Young Life, thank you.